In a major blow to Joe Biden's green agenda, a wind project off the coast of New York, near us, has been canceled by developers. And seemingly his very own Bidenomics were to blame. Energy developers Equinor and BP said the project was scrapped due to inflation, interest rates, and supply chain disruptions. Here to react to that is the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, the president, Craig Rucker. Craig, your reaction to the shelving of this multi-million-dollar project?
Well, let's just say the winds of ill fortune are blowing hard against Biden's offshore energy agenda. Of course, he wanted to put in about 30,000 megawatts of offshore wind by the year 2030. But what happened yesterday is indicative of what's been happening in recent months. We had another wind company bail out of the Vineyard Wind projects up in Massachusetts. We had another one in New Jersey just recently. Ørsted bail from New Jersey and angering Phil Murphy and many others. They are blaming, of course, high interest rates, inflation, and supply chain issues. But I'd like to point out what they're not telling you is there's also significant grassroots opposition to these projects coming from commercial fishermen and those upset about their impacts on marine mammals and in particular whales. That is also giving them pause as to whether or not they can continue their operation.
Right. Whales dying suddenly right near these projects reportedly is when they drill it into the ocean floor. It throws up the whale's communication. For example, in 2016, there were 212. Since 2016, there's been 212 whale deaths, 37 in 2023 alone. Now, the other thing that I'm not an energy expert, but a lot of energy experts are looking at these wind stuff and saying they're not nearly as effective as they're being billed anyway. And some of them are using inflation to bail out of a project that's just not going to pay off.
Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right. You take a look at, example, the BP Equinor contract. They were going to get about $107 a megawatt hour for their electricity. That's already kind of a sweetheart deal when you compare it to, let's say, a fossil fuel plant, whether it's a coal or natural gas plant, which would be a fraction of that, somewhere around $60 to $80 a megawatt hour. Well, they want to move that up to $177 a megawatt hour, which would, even in a blue state, the regulators aren't willing to have that sort of shock be put to ratepayers, and especially when these things are unpopular. As you mentioned, there's been a precipitous increase in whale deaths from the pile driving, sonar blasting, and you are seeing a lot of the grassroots environmental groups, both on the right and left, up in arms about this. Right. So I don't think that the political will is there to try and give them the contracts that they would like to have to make these things economically sound.
And I just remember Ted Kennedy coming out saying, yeah, I don't want to see these windmills. Yeah, he's pro-environment. I just don't want to have to see them. They're an eyesore. A little bit of a problem that all of us have to deal with it. Craig, we'll see where this goes. Another wind project goes by the boards for the Biden administration. Appreciate it. Craig Rucker, good job.